Hey everybody. Hey everybody. Welcome to another episode of Deckin Around. My name is Tyler.
And I am Steve from woundedcorner.com.
We are super excited tonight to have an amazing guest on, but before we get into our guest, we really wanted to make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell so you make sure you get future notifications. We are also going to announce our first ever Deckin Around giveaway winners live right now, so keep your eye out right there, and you'll see the winners for our Decking Around giveaway. And just as a reminder, we had 72 people jump in on this, so we're really appreciative of the support. All of our winners are going to win some Decking Around stickers, and the top two winners there, Dylan Webb and the Kramer04, are actually going to win a deck of their choice out of either the Winterberry playing cards or the Didalo Alpha. So we will be reaching out to everyone on Instagram. Congrats, guys, and thank you very much. So
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
yeah, so we're really happy that everyone could make it out tonight. We have a super exciting guest. We're actually really pumped for this. So let's everyone be super pumped for Cam Toner of Organic Playing Cards.
Cam!
Hey, what's up, guys? How are
How
you?
you doing tonight, Cam?
Doing
Dude,
well,
I'm
man.
fantastic. Got the window open, got a breeze coming in. Like, it's nice outside. It's been a good day.
Looks like the window's pried open.
It is.
Is it
It is. Awesome. College of
nice?
life. Love it.
Nothing wrong with
Kyle
that.
said, "What's up, coconut boy?"
Hello, Kyle.
Kyle, of course, had to hop in real quick there just, to say hello. But Cam,
Oh,
we're super excited to have you on the show tonight, man. I mean, Steve and I have been talking about this for weeks, and I know we've been talking back and forth for the past week. We have
yeah.
known this is going to be an awesome show, so we're so glad you can make it on.
Dude, I'm super glad for you guys having me. So thank you.
Yeah. How's quarantine
Yep.
treating you so far?
Dude, I've been able to work on a lot of cardistry, which has been really awesome. So I've been in the lab, as the kids would say. Coming up with
Nice.
some new moves, working on my cardistry. It's really cool that because I think I just kind of started getting into it more seriously. Ever since Nate had to leave OPC because of school. So I've been like, well, this is the perfect time. Like, why don't I just try to get into it more? So it's been super fun.
That's awesome,
Well,
man.
I think you should open up and show us something. Show us something that you've been working on. Are you allowed to,
Sure.
or is
Yeah.
it like still like totally in the lab and not out in the public yet?
Oh no, I dropped some cards, but I can show you. Yeah, so actually, it's really funny because today I jumped on a Zoom with a bunch of different people, and they were helping me workshop the move. So what I want to do is I want to do a um, scissor cut, but I want to do it from the middle to where a packet like pops up, and I want to like throw it or do something crazy with it, just one handed, and catch it. And that's something that like I worked on today with a bunch of people from Zoom or
Oh,
on
cool.
Zoom. So like just stuff like that. I have a couple moves that are just like basic, like um, things that are smaller, like this kind of thing here. I don't know what this is going to be, but kind of pull out a card like
Nice.
that.
Oh, cool.
But creating, but also learning some new moves and stuff. So
I'm so bad at cardistry.
yeah,
I need to practice more.
Steve's got me
yeah.
beat for sure.
I went when I was at Cardistry Con. Like literally every 10 minutes was me like jaw to the floor. Like that's so cool. Like because I can't. Like I was literally around like the best cardist in the world, and I'm just sitting there with like my camera and like my Charlier cuts, just hanging out. So
Cam, you and I are in the
Yeah,
same boat.
I
You and
hear
I are in
you.
the same boat because I can't even do cuts right there. I'm like, oh yeah, look at where am I at here? Like, trying to get my fingers in there, can't even do it. It's terrible. So
right.
Oh, yes. Thank you so
yeah,
much. These things are
they are
ridiculous.
phenomenal.
Right. Right.
They are super sick. They
Fine.
that outline is so sweet. I love how you guys added that.
Yeah, I was like, we got to do something a little different, and I was like, man, like what could it be? Because I didn't want it to be like too big of a change. And I just think it really makes like fans, and like I even think that in motion, like with packets, it really makes like the packets kind of stand out when you're doing fun cuts and stuff with them.
Okay. Here's a question I have.
Yes.
I'm gonna swear, just so everybody knows. how the fuck did you get like USPCC to do like registration like this? Like, do you guys have seriously? Do you have to pay extra to get like good registration?
Dude, it's just a good run. Like I don't know. I was kind of surprised in how, because like the couple decks that I've opened, they've been super perfect. Like,
Dude, this deck is
Yeah,
perfect.
I was surprised.
like,
Like,
yeah, it's, and like even the stock, like we get the same stock every time. Like Peeler's V1 was uncrushed B stock, land and finish. All of our decks have been the same, like stock and finish ordered. They all feel
Right.
different. So, like Peeler's V1 was just such a good run, but these also are soft. Like these are
dude.
really soft on
Yeah.
the edges.
Well, I was telling you when we were talking before with when you and I and Tyler were talking, these feel crushed.
They
Yeah,
really do.
I know.
I mean, you could tell they're not, but they're super soft. Yeah, I mean they feel crushed. They definitely feel like Healer's V1.
Yeah. So very happy about that because I've like me and Nate did a like what, and like it wasn't even a challenge. Like the Peelers V1, I knew instantly which one it was. Like, and the rest were a lot harder. But like this is close. This is really close.
Yeah, it feels so good.
It's definitely it's a good feeling deck. I mean, it's definitely something that you almost feel like you don't need to break it in as much as you would a normal deck. Like this compared to a fresh out of the pack, like I don't know what I opened recently. I opened actually a new deck of Joker and the Thief the other day, and compared to this feels phenomenal. That feels like cardboard until you break it in. So
Yeah.
day and night there.
So we also did something crazy different with our boxes too. Like the box on this is like I think one of my favorite boxes so far.
Yeah.
So
when I first opened it, because obviously when I got the package, I'm like, oh my god, what is it? What is it? What is it? Because I was obviously didn't know, and then I opened it and I'm like, I hope the back doesn't look like this though. and then I opened it. Like, wait, I like how I was totally thrown off. Like I was literally thrown off.
Absolutely.
And now, obviously, when I opened it, I'm like, oh, watermelon, because I didn't know when I first opened it. I'm gonna admit that.
Right. Yeah. 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 It's with it, all of it kind of tying together. Like I think that it ties together really well. So
Good. So
it's
good.
gonna be a hard one to beat. It's gonna be a hard one to beat.
Absolutely. But that's part of the fun, right? Because it gives you something to strive for.
I know it's now a new challenge. So
yeah, I think I would definitely love. I mean, one of the things that you guys are known for is your packaging.
Right.
So how can you show us the amazing packaging on
which
on
Steve,
these
we have
guys?
a little bit of a dip here on the video, so Cam is not showing right now, but
Yeah, I see that.
Oh, my Wi-Fi, college Wi-Fi.
Yeah, right.
See, Cam, you were saying earlier you get to go to a new apartment soon. I'm sure it'll have phenomenal Wi-Fi. So
I'm so ready for a new apartment. But yeah, hopefully I kind of come back in.
Yeah, Bacon said Jamie Morrison, who's Bacon Wise, he said, "Cam, show us your package."
Oh, no.
That's Jamie for you. Jamie and Kyle go back and forth. We don't know which one likes to start it more.
No.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with the video, but
we'll keep running it. And,
when you come back, when you come back, we can show everybody that.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yes. So. But yeah, the packaging for our decks is always just a super creative time for me. Like I really enjoy getting to figure out like what we put or like how we package things. Just because I think it adds that extra level of like when you open it, you're like, oh, like this is nice. Like it adds that extra oomph to when you open something, you're like, oh, you're like, this is good.
Yeah, and I mean, how long is that process? Is it something that you collaborate with 3, 4, 5 people yourself? I know for me, a lot of ideas like come to me when I'm sleeping. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and be like, "Oh my God, that's a great idea!" Like, how does that happen for you? Is it something that you collaborate with people on, or you have the idea, or?
A little bit. So the whole process, it's so hard because we're like, when we come out with a deck, we are working on the deck that is is not the next deck, but the one after that.
Right.
Usually, we're coming out with this with the carvers. We have a deck printing, and then we're also designing the one after that. So like, um, I'm excited about carvers, but then like I'm like, oh, I gotta focus on this new design too and design creative. So that's kind of what the process of that looks like. I usually come up with a lot of the like half brick ideas and the box ideas. Me and our designer Kate kind of bounce back and forth ideas. We usually try to fit the theme. So like usually like for instance with we were like, oh, picnic basket, duh. Like that's the easiest, especially since Nate going to Cardistry Con brought a picnic basket with him for our like little table setup that we had there. We had like a table. It looked like a produce stand.
Nice.
And he had to carry that basket through 2 airports.
Wow.
So
wow.
to get it there. So he was just walking around with a picnic basket. Hey, there's my video feed. Hello, I'm back.
Yay!
Mr. Cam.
I was actually just gonna like recommend just closing out of Skype and coming back on, but
you're
back.
We're glad to see
We're
it.
here.
Show us your packages.
I was like, show it. So these are 2 half bricks together. So you put them together and they make a full watermelon, but you can cut the watermelon in half, and then you have all 6 decks inside.
It's just so awesome.
So good.
Right? So like it was one of those things. So when coming up with this, like it's hard because you almost have to come up with this before you come up with the box.
Right.
Because like you're like, well, if we do the box of watermelon, what are we putting in it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it has to make sense. It has to flow. So like the very first like half brick box we did was actually I have it right here was the Peelers V2, and we were like, well, our box is a crate. Like, what do crates come in? And we're like a shipping container.
Right.
You know? And so we designed it to look like a shipping container.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
Like the juice box, I have one of those here too. Like the juice box was again like just how can we make this better? Like how can we make the opening experience like something super cool?
Very
so
cool,
cool.
man.
You guys are crushing it.
Well,
for everyone in the audience who's listening right now, stick around to the end too, because Cam is going to be giving away a signed half brick box, obviously with decks. So definitely going to be an awesome win for anyone who picks that up. So keep an eye out.
So, but yeah, no, this is awesome though. I love showing off all these things because I think it's very fun. I know with like because there is a lot of work that almost goes into these. Like half of our time is designing the deck, and then half of our time is thinking up of this stuff,
which is awesome.
So like it seems like such a small thing, like having a cool half brick box, but like I feel like it adds to like the experience of the whole thing.
Totally.
Like, we have to come up with all of our own templates too.
Wow.
Like we don't find any templates. We have to like prototype it out and put it together. It's like a jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah, for sure. You should. You ever think about maybe doing that live once so people can see the process, or?
That's kind of hard too, because like for instance, way back I used to do vlogs for our organic playing cards YouTube, and I was like, yeah, you guys can see like what I do on a daily, but then like I would try to film OPC things happening, but I'm like, oh, well, they can't know. Like they can't know the deck that's coming.
Right.
So it's like, now like I could potentially, if I wanted to, and now that I'll have time out of school, I could definitely like film that process and then talk about it after. Like cool thing to do.
Yeah.
No, that'd be
for sure. Yeah. This is an amazing question, but I'm going to hold it. Mark, I will ask that question because that is an amazing question. I I have a question regarding the packaging actually, and it came in from Reddit.
Do it.
I'm sure you've heard about it. But the question's super long, so I'm just going to break it down. Basically, where did the concept of like the oils come into play? Like when you first did the oils, putting them in the package and making the experience opening it and really smelling it, and I mean that the first time you guys did that, it was like amazing. It was awesome. And then like with the recent ones, the blackberries.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot.
It was a lot.
I know.
Everybody was like,
I
"Oh
would be the
no!"
first to tell you when we first got them. I was like, "Oh boy!" I immediately got Kevin on the phone and said, "Hey, dude, so like, I smell like I just walked through a Bath and Body Works. Like, can you help me?" And so here's how that happened. So actually, Snackers V1, of course. We used a perfume. So it's really funny because I actually used to run a cologne and perfume kiosk in a mall for like 4 years before I came.
Wow.
Very
Like
cool.
body oil stuff or what?
Right. So the first one we used with Snackers is an alcohol-based perfume. So they would spray in a couple, they'd close it, and a lot of people would complain that they couldn't smell it. So then like the alcohol would evaporate, and right when you'd open it, it'd evaporate, and then it wouldn't last, or you couldn't smell it. So I was like, man, like how do we fix that? So then I actually was just showing some people today. I found this company that makes like essential oils. So now the difference between alcohol and oils is that oils last longer.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, sweet. I'm like, you put a couple drops, like not a spray, like a couple drops in here. We actually, before Snackers V2, we used it on the half brick boxes for these and for the slicers. We just had them put a little spray on the bottom, let it dry, and then put Decks in. And it smelled really nice. It wasn't strong at all. Like, it was super awesome. So we were like, let's try it in the Snackers packages. It was
that oil like seeped up through the cellophane and it like totally wet my deck. It wet my deck.
Yeah. So what we did when we heard about that from people, we were like, hey, like if your cards, because we had a couple of those, we had like 5 or 6 of those where that happened, that seeped through the cellophane. Our decks that we got didn't have any oil damage on them. So like if people had or have oil damage on them, like we want to try to make that right, just because like we were like, well, let's try it. You know what I mean? Like, what's the worst that can happen? And then that happened.
But that's the worst thing that could happen. Well, the blackberries is the worst thing. But I thought the lemon one smelled amazing. I love lemon. Obviously, it's a clean smell.
Right.
And I was like,
soaked into the bottom of this. In the like plastic bag, it has nowhere to go, so it just sat in the bottom. So I mean, of course, in like business, you know, you win some, you lose some. So no.
The cool thing is you're trying and you're innovating, which is really cool.
Right. So like this, we're gonna try to put just a little spray of the oil like on the bottom to where it soaks into the half brick box.
Nice.
In the future with Snackers, because there will be more Snackers, we are going to be using, we're going to go back to just the alcohol-based perfume. And if you don't smell it, then I don't, then sorry.
Too bad.
Better that than wet decks.
Yeah.
I have an idea. Why don't you take just like a piece of watermelon and put it in the half brick boxes?
Yeah. I don't know what could go wrong. No, because the kind of interesting part, though, is when I first opened mine, of course, like, you know, you have the oil on your hands, and yes, it's strong. And then I messed with my cards, and my cards got scented, but they weren't damaged. So, like, I mean, that's kind of a takeaway, an accidental takeaway, but like, you gotta take it where you can take it. So,
yeah, no, I hear you. Cool. Well, thank you for going down that road.
Oh, sure, no, because that's a story I get asked all the time, and I'm like, oh no, I know. Like, like that's the worst part is that I know.
But I mean, that's part of running a business, right? You know, you run
Right,
into an obstacle like that, and you pivot, you learn from it, and you continue to
right,
grow on it. And I think that's something that you know, obviously you've taken the good lesson from it there.
right. So
Yeah, yeah. Um,
So,
all right, let me. You want to dive into some questions here,
yeah,
Tyler?
so I actually had a pretty good one, and I think this is kind of a something we discussed actually in like one of our pre meets. You know, really the OPC story. What actually got you guys interested not only in cardistry or magic, but like the decision to make your own deck there and really going through the process.
And why fruit?
Yeah, and why fruit?
So it's really funny because Nate and I did card magic in high school. I was the kid that in high school made like magic cool. Like I did card tricks at lunch. Like I performed professionally in Indianapolis, technically because I got paid for it.
Nice.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
and so I did a lot of that in high school. And then coming to college, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually going to meet other card people. Because, like, you know, around my area, no one else messed with cards or did card magic really that I was friends with. So I was a part of this accelerate program here at Ball State University. And you get to move in a week early. You get to meet a bunch of people. And it was really funny because Nate Lex, that's More Than Paper, was
Right.
also in that program. And of course, like when my friends heard that he was doing magic, they're like, "Oh my god! Like someone else is doing magic! Like you're gonna be mortal enemies!" And like I met him, and he was super super cool, and we started hanging out my freshman year here at Ball State. And then I joined the speech team here at Ball State, and I heard a speech, an info speech about the Cavendish banana going extinct. And I was like, what? Like, that's crazy. I love bananas. Like, how can that even be possible? Like, so I guess there's this fungus that tries to like wipe out the Cavendish banana. So scientists genetically re-engineer the banana to resist the fungus. But then the fungus will mutate and go back after, and it's just this war. And so like Cavendish bananas don't look like what they used to, you know, thousands of years ago. They're different.
Yeah.
So I heard that info speech and I was like, that's crazy. And I started telling everybody I knew about it. And I was like, what? I was like, there's got to be more people. Like, how can I tell more people about this? I was like, why don't I make a deck? Like, why don't I make a deck about it and just have the two bananas on like that nice, like blue, light blue, tealish background? Um,
Mm.
I grew up being a huge fan of like Daniel Madison. And
Yeah.
I love the simplicity of his rounders decks. So that's why I kind of wanted to go the route of the two inverse logos, as well as like a lot of classic cards. Like Nate and I talked about it because I took a PowerPoint slide to him, a literal clip arted banana PowerPoint slide, and was
You're
like,
such a college student.
"Hey," I was like, "Nate, look." I was like, "This is gonna be a deck," and he said, "Come back to me when you have an actual banana." So I found somebody to design the banana. He helped me out, and then really didn't know exactly what I wanted. So we eventually got the banana designed and ordered a prototype and started up an Instagram. And we just started taking photos with them and trying to promote the crap out of them. So then we gained like 1,000 followers in like 2 months, which we
Nice.
thought was insane. And then we were reaching out to people to promote it. So of course I'm going through figuring out like, are we going to do a Kickstarter? How are we going to fulfill all this? Like, how are we going to do this? And then I designed the box in Photoshop because I had no idea what I was doing. I bought an Adobe stock image of a wood crate and just like pasted it in the places where it goes.
Wow.
And the logo for Peelers, I made it in PowerPoint. That logo, I made it in a PowerPoint slide.
Nice.
And I
That's
like
hilarious.
screenshotted it and exported it. Again, no idea what I was doing. And Kevin,
So good. That's so
know,
funny.
right? I was like, you just gotta keep grinding until you like figure it out. And then Kevin, we reached out to him to help us promote, and he was like, "Hey guys, like, dude, I really like this deck. You know, what are you going to do about fulfillment? How are you going to make it happen?" We told him Kickstarter and fulfillment. We had no idea. And he goes, "Why don't you just take out a loan and like print them?" And we're like, huh? We're two college kids. Like I'm in $20,000 worth of debt to the government for my
Right.
education. I don't want to do that. And he was like, what about this? What if I pay for them to be printed? I handle the fulfillment, and like we just split it all, like all the profit at the end of the day. And we were
Kevin
like,
Yu, man, for president. Kevin Yu for
what?
president.
I was like, what? I said, what are you? And he's like, yeah, like I really like this. I think it could be really something cool. And like, you guys look like you're working hard at it. So like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And next thing I knew, I was holding like my actual own deck in my hands. And I was like,
So cool.
That is awesome.
Now
like,
look where you are.
well, and that's the thing too, is that I didn't even think like, I think it's so good because in the beginning, Nate and I were like, it'd be cool to have like a brick of our own cards. That was the ceiling.
Yeah.
That was like what we like imagined. That was it. That was the dream. And then Kevin's like, yeah, here's a gross of your own cards, and like we sell them. And it just blew my mind. So then a week later, after Peelers V1 sold out, he gave us a call and said, all right, boys, like, what's the next deck? And we said, we said, we get to do this again? And he goes, yeah, dude, like, let's do it. And that's when I was like, okay, like, this is going to become something. I need to figure out what it is and give us an overarching brand that can let us go in whatever direction we want to, you know? And that's kind of when organic was born. So that's like the long, short origin story of OPC.
Dude, that's so cool.
Very cool.
Really, really cool. And I'm glad he's kind of like the Usher in your Justin Bieber.
Oh, man.
Dude.
That's funny. Kevin Yu is Usher. We'll have to start calling him Uncle Usher.
There you go.
But yeah, that's kind of where everything started, guys. Like that's it was so crazy too, because I remember like Nate and I were very much on the same page, like with all of the decks, like especially the first two, the Squeezers V1 and Peelers V1. Like I remember we were sitting in a cafeteria here on campus, and we were like, man, like what do we call it? And he was like, bro, like what if, because you peel bananas, like what if we call them peelers? And I was like, that's funny. And then the next deck we were like, bro, Squeezers. Like
Nice.
we were like, it has to happen. And it just, I don't know, it kind of fell into place. It was awesome.
It's definitely
that's awesome.
And it's nice to see the running theme between the decks, though. I think, that's how you build kind of the brand, obviously.
Yeah, well, that's also inspiration from Daniel Madison. So I loved how he had like rounders and hustlers and gamblers, and they all look similar. So like you can tell they're a Daniel Madison deck, but then they all each individually have their own attributes. So like that's why I like doing our different lines of snackers, squeezers, because those lines, they have different fruit, but they all look similar and have similar feels,
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Now, do you feel that like basically puts you in that box of being like the snacker guy or like the peeler guy, or do you know what I mean?
I don't think so. Like in terms of, are you saying in terms of like creativity, or like when people find our brand that they're like
just like I think just going outside of like the brand that you are, do you ever think of this is actually one of the questions, but you ever think of collaborating outside of organic and the fruits and and do something totally different that has nothing to do with kind of organic?
Yeah, so potentially, I think that there's a lot of room in the organic brand. So when coming up with organic playing cards, I mean, organic means like literally everything. Like this shirt is technically organic because, well, I mean, the organic life, but like it's like because it's 100% cotton. Like it's not made overseas where there's sweatshops and stuff like that. So it's technically considered an organic shirt. So like we could even go into like different foods and vegetables and like desserts and like all sorts of different things. So I think that there could be a way to collaborate with like literally anyone.
Yeah, for sure.
Which, on the topic of your shirt there, real quick, Caitlin Chen shouted out your shirt in the chat as well. So
I love Caitlin.
Nice. I think everybody loves Caitlin.
Right?
Yeah. So Mark actually asked, do you ever think about making decks with an ethnic fruit theme from around the world rather than just the standard, like, maybe jackfruit or dragon fruit or
Right. So yes, actually, this kind of leads into something cool that we're doing, starting with carvers. So we're actually starting a reward program called the OPC Passport. So it's a certificate that you get with every order of carvers, and you'll get a holographic sticker with it. Um,
mm,
get 6 different stickers from 6 different decks, and you can send that certificate or passport into us, and we will send you 1 free exotic deck. So that's kind of where we're going to go with a lot of the different exotic, more like not mainstream fruit, or vegetable or food. So that's kind
mm,
of the game plan for that, and those are going to be like super nice, luxurious, like fun decks of like exotic fruit.
nice.
I think are going to be really cool. I mean, honestly, the possibilities are endless. Like
Yeah, for
I'm,
sure.
I'm up at night figuring things out, because the other part too is that when coming out with trying to come out with 5 decks a year, you have to keep in mind a lot of things. So, for
I,
instance, do what?
I'm saying I'm glad that you guys are like holding back a little with 5 decks a year. I think a lot of people are starting to do like 30 decks a
Yeah.
year, and it's kind of
Yeah.
getting a little inundated.
Well, and that's like, because there's a lot of fruit, and like
Yeah,
the other thing too is that, like, now our designs aren't like, they're simplistic, but they're not easy, you know what I mean, if that kind of makes sense. Like all
right,
the thought that's put into it, there's a lot, but in terms of when designing it, it doesn't take as long as like a very intricate deck would. So I mean, I feel like it's almost a responsibility to, like, you know what I mean, come out with them when we can. Like,
right.
not just wait and then be like, bam, here's a pattern. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's you should come out with the decks as you can design them.
Yeah,
I
yeah, for
want
sure.
our fan base to be hungry for the next one.
Yeah.
Like, I want people to like be excited for what's coming. Um, so that's kind of how I feel like we do that. Um, but yeah, like you like when play, because we try to plan ahead. Because like I said, I'm designing 2 decks ahead of this right now.
Right.
So like things
Don't tell everybody that because they're gonna be like, "What's the next deck? What's the
I
next
know,
deck?"
I know. Everyone's like, carvers. They're like, what's next?
Dude, that's how it is, man.
Fun.
Severus came up with a great. Severus Lupus said you should do jackfruit, and you guys can call it jackers.
Uh,
Oh my god.
that's another thing that's gonna be. It's gonna eventually have to end, which is sad, because like there's no way we can keep coming up with like names.
Yeah.
Like like it's been a good run, but like eventually we're gonna have to figure something else out.
Yeah,
Because like,
you might start to lose it at like Snackers V9.
Yeah.
right, well, no, like when I'm talking like coming up with new lines,
Yeah.
like I want to keep coming up with new lines, or like, if there's a deck of a fruit or a vegetable that doesn't fit in with any of them, like trying to figure out different names for like maybe like a one-off like deck instead of having it be like a whole line. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah. I mean, people probably have a ton of names like Chris. Chris at I think this is Chris Deckhead. He said raspberries. You call them pickers, and that can go in for blueberries and all that other stuff. But yeah, I'm sure you hear it all the time.
so I think
Poopers.
I think I think that one of the things I like that we've kind of like I take like when running your own thing, I feel like you have to take everyone's like responses to things with like a grain of salt, because like you can't just do like what everyone wants, because then like you're not in it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Right.
I
Right.
think, I
Right.
think I like looking back and reflecting on myself. I think I've taken a lot of the feedback in like not an extreme way, because like I'm still gonna do what I want to do with the end.
Totally.
And like I think people should do that. I don't think people should like exactly just do whatever their fan base wants. But
So
Right.
I just saw this cross chat and it actually kind of resonated with me a little bit. But Mad Wabbit had a great suggestion here, or a great thought. He said, "I always thought the melon theme would be called Ballers, melon balling."
Ballers, dude.
I like Kava's. I like Kava's better.
I mean, I like carvers, but the whole like ballers idea, I was like, oh, that's kind of fresh though.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing too. Like it's there's so many different names and so many different things sometimes, or there's none that you can think of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah. How about what if you guys did like a kind of a deck and you had pretty much your viewers come up with the name of it? That'd be kind of cool, like a little contest or something.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that could be super cool too. So
yeah, or not, or it could be the complete opposite.
That's the fun part, dude. Like this, I literally think that I have like this is like a dream job for me because I literally get to like this is what I get to do for work. Like I get to just like create, which is so cool to me. Like that this
Right.
even happening, it's so crazy.
No, that really is amazing, and it's awesome those two to see the creative process. Because again, like you said, with the backs on these, you have this simple thing such as like the border, and it seems so simple, but like the impact of it and the variation from where you started, it really shows the evolution of the deck.
Right. Well, and like in terms of like planning decks out too, like we every back color matters because we can't come out with carvers and then come out with another greenish back. People are gonna be
Right.
like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
or we can't like. I don't want to come out with like 3 different, technically what I would call like of the same series. So like I don't want to come out with like Snackers V3, Squeezers V3, and then Slicers V2 all together because then it's like, oh, they run out of ideas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it's striking that balance of all of those things. So it's a fun jigsaw puzzle that I get to do every day.
Oh, and
Yeah.
it goes to show how much thought goes into the brand itself, and really making sure that, like you said, you want people hungry for the next deck. You don't want them getting bored of it.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's really cool just to see like the process. I'm pretty new. I've been, in it for about a year now, I guess. Seriously for about 7, 8 months. But it's been really cool to see the brand since I've been around, grow. And you have other things kind of just brewing as well. And I'm a big fan of get your hands in as many things as you can, as many ideas. And, one of the things that I really, really like about, you and your brand is that you're very involved in the community, and it's something that you communicate with everybody. You're constantly doing lives, you're doing contests all the time. You're just really getting the community involved. And I think that's really cool because there's a lot of companies that don't do that.
Well, thank you.
They don't even respond to a message, and that's one thing you've always responded. You were actually the first company that agreed to hop on board for my Good Vibes giveaway. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, dude, anytime. Like that's one of the things, man. Like the only reason that I get to do this is because of the community. Like that's like it's one of those things where I don't think people understand that. Like if this community didn't exist, I wouldn't get to do this.
Right.
So like I just think it's so important to give back in anything. I mean, that's why we did Alex's Lemonade Stand, the collaboration on that, because like, I mean, I think Cardistry community can make an impact on everyone in it, but also outside of it.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I totally agree. And I mean that brings up your Cardistry road trip. That's another way that you're reaching out to people outside of just the community at Instagram, but like trying to get the word out even more. And can you tell us a little bit about that and what's going on with that?
So when I went to CardistryCon in Portland with Nate, and honestly, it was like one of the best 3 days of my life. Like
Right.
you got to meet so many cool people. You got to talk cards and cardistry. Like I was sitting in our hostel in Portland, and I heard somebody say, "Yeah, dude, like you hold it in Biddle grip." And I said, "Did somebody just say Biddle grip? Like, what is this?" Like I'd never heard someone else say those words in person. Like
That's funny.
like, so you just got to be around the community and your people, and it felt like I'd never met anyone there in my life, but they were all my family, which is crazy.
That's
So
so
like,
cool.
and just that experience of those 3 days, I was like, I need more people to feel like this. Like, I want to take this feeling and like this event, and I want to bring it to more people. So, Cardistry Road Trip, in my hopes, is a way to do that. It's in the summer of 2021. What I would like to do is I would like to get me and 5 other rent an RV in like the 2 or 3 weeks leading up to CardistryCon here in the US in 2021. Host many like 1-day CardistryCon in big cities across the US.
That would be
So,
super cool. Yeah.
and I want it to be CardistryCon just compacted. Because, I mean, not everybody can afford the plane ticket, the hotel, the food,
Right.
if they want to buy decks. Like, the only reason we went is because we literally just spent the money we make from playing cards to go. And, like, not everyone has that. But, like, people don't care if they could drive, 2 or 3 hours to a conference for the day and then drive home. You know what I mean? Like, that's a little bit more, that's easier for people. So,
yeah. Caitlin said, hint, come to Toronto.
yeah, and really anywhere kind of in this area is on our list. Like if you would like to go to cardistryroadtrip.com, you can sign up for the newsletter, and that kind of helps us get your information, as well as we ask you to put your zip code in so that we can kind of ping where the most amount of people are, so that we can try to pick locations where the most amount of people can come. Because that's the goal, is to like have the most people be able to come, and kind of hang out together.
Nice.
So like, my hope is literally to take CardistryCon and condense it into 1 day. So like my goal is that you get a goodie bag just like you do at CardistryCon, but with half of the stuff in it, just because it's not all of CardistryCon. There's going to be people that the cardists that come will probably have a talk that you can listen to. There'll be jam times. We'll probably also have deck releases. Like, I would love for OPC to come out with a deck during Cardistry Road Trip that you can only get on Cardistry Road Trip or at CardistryCon.
That would be sick.
I'd love to do a Cardistry Road Trip deck. Like, there's so much possibility with it. And right now, I know it's really early. Like, it's over a year early that we're kind of getting stoked for all of this. But that's how long it's going to take to plan. And like, I really want to see how many people are interested, to see, what we can do. I mean, the ultimate goal, I think, would be, I've not talked with Dan and Dave about it, but trying to go to Dan and Dave, me and Matt Fox, and be like, hey, this is the amount of people that are interested. Here's where they're located. Here's how much it'll cost. Like, what do you think? Because
they'd be totally on board. Are you kidding me?
Well, because I don't want it to rival CardistryCon. Like, that's the thing. I want it to be a part of it, and I almost want to have, like, it be enlaced in CardistryCon.
Right.
So,
yeah,
like,
I mean, I'm sure they'd be super excited about it. It's super cool to do that, and I think one thing I would love to see, and I'll throw it out there. You can take the idea and run with it, but I think this is in every community. Like in the rock climbing community that I was in, it's like you either boulder or you rope climb. You're a traditional climber or you're a boulderer. And those two really don't mix. Like sport climbing, traditional, and bouldering, they're like separate entities. And it's kind of the same way when it comes to the card community. You have your map magicians, your sleight of hand people, and then you have your cardistry people. Yeah. And you have CardistryCon and you have MagicCon. And why can't we do something that combines them both? Because I think when you have someone who does magic that can infuse cardistry into it, I think it looks way better, and it definitely adds.
Yeah, I definitely think that that's like the route that I even see things in the community going. The cool part is that I met a lot of magicians at CardistryCon. Like, people that are magicians go to CardistryCon. So like for instance, Bow Magic at Bow Magic, he's freaking awesome.
Yeah, he is. He is.
So like, yeah, I would love to go to MagicCon just because at OPC we try to keep the magician in mind too. So like I think that those two communities are separate, but there's a lot of crossover. So
Yeah. I'd love to see more. I think it'd be really cool.
I agree. Yeah. Because I think even cardistry helps like sleight of hand. Like
Yeah.
it just feel more comfortable with the cards.
Definitely. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Let's see if we have any questions over here. I know we have some questions that were asked online. If you want to, Ty, you want to ask something that you have? Because I know you had a couple that you wanted to ask, and I'll look through the YouTube.
All right. So one of the questions that I actually got, and I think this was a good one because I'm sure you do get this a lot, but and I'm kind of gonna expand this question a little bit. But how many deck picks do you get a day? And on top of that, how many like DMs do you get with people just saying fruit?
How many deck picks?
I had to make sure I said that one right.
Right. I know.
I hope you don't send them unsolicited.
Right. Yeah. Don't do that. But to be honest, I love the interaction I get from the community. One of my goals is to answer every single DM that we get, which is a lot, constantly on my phone. But I think that engagement with people in the community and those friendships are important. A lot of people are always like, hey, like, a lot of people be like, hey, where can I get this deck? Or like, hey, I have the regulars that every month are like, hey, like, you sure you don't want to sell your last couple peelers V1? Like, there's other people that come and they're like, hey, dude, like, have you ever thought about like doing grapes? And I'm like, yeah, man, like for sure. Like you don't really know how to respond, but like, there's a conversation. But like, yeah, I mean, a lot of people message and like give ideas, which is, I think, cool, which I think some people would take offense to it, but I don't. I love it because that means that that person messaging is invested in us.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they want to help, which I think is super cool. So like, I love people sending me stuff like that. For carvers, I can't remember the Instagram account off the top of my head, but we were actually trying to design the back. And we were messing around with like a triangular slice, and we were messing around with like half of a watermelon, and we were messing around with this kind of slice, but we didn't really know how to angle it in the best way. And I think I can't remember who posted a story where it was like, hey, organic playing cards, is this the next deck? Like, I just gave it a try. And like it wasn't like crazy like art quality, but like it had this sort of positioning for the slice, and we were like, dang, like that slice positioning looks really good. Like,
cool.
Incorporate that into what we have.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things where I think the people that push away that help they'll never grow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that community is helping is awesome.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think that's, one of the things that successful people do on Kickstarter is they take that feedback and they really do something with it. You have some people that take that feedback and they don't listen to it. They get offended and stuff like that. And, it shows in their work.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
So one of the other questions we did have was, this is actually a Kyle question. So I think we've gone through a good amount of questions. I figured it's always worth a quick Kyle question here. So first one of the night, at least. Why is vanilla ice cream white when vanilla extract is brown? That one's probably the least tongue-twisting one we've had so far, but I'm excited for your answer here.
Okay, so if you mix the vanilla extract into ice cream, you don't put so much vanilla extract in the actual ice cream. So the white is from the milk, not the vanilla.
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna.
Oh, because vanilla bean is brown, right?
Right.
Boom. There's your answer.
There you go, Kyle.
There's your answer, Kyle.
The one time that he put on our story, why do we drive on parkways and park on driveways? Rock my world. I'm like,
here's another one. Oliver Sadel says, "Why does your nose run but your feet smell?" That's a good one.
These are the fun things that Kyle questions create,
Right? It's just you're like, oh, like my brain hurts. Like I don't understand.
That's so funny. Do you make do you plan on making a fruit salad deck? We've got a lot of questions
There are a
regarding like
lot of fruit decks
fruit
questions. Yeah.
salad, raspberries, coconuts. We got a lot of those questions.
Yeah, no, and that's the fun part is everyone's like trying to figure it out, and like the goal of mine is to keep everyone on their toes.
Jason Burgess came up with a brilliant idea.
Go for
He
it.
said you should do pretzels and call them twisters. Brilliant idea. Cam's quiet because he probably already has a pretzel deck coming out.
No, that is a really good idea because that's the thing. I don't want to stay in fruit. Like fruit's cool, and we'll still do fruit every once in a while, but like I want to start making a transition into other things. So like we said, everything's organic. So like ice cream and like I want to partner with an ice cream brand real bad because I love ice cream.
That would be sick.
Oh,
right? Like
incantation said pretzels. Okay, sorry.
So this one's popped up twice now, so I need to ask it too in the chat. Everyone wants to know what the cat's name is.
This cat, yeah. I have 2 cats, and every time for school or like if I'm on face chat with anybody, they're both like, "Who are these people?" I need to. So this, let's see if I can pick her up. This is Stella. This is my second cat. We got her as a stray. She's like missing an ear, so she's seen some things. But yeah, she's awesome. So
it's super cute.
Dad's on the phone. So if you buy decks, it supports this cat because I buy food to feed her. So
there you go.
Nice.
So definitely a worthy cause. So she's cutie pie.
Yeah. Yeah. Love cats. Definitely a cat person. And I never thought I would be. Like they're so easy. Like when I first got my first cat, because she's my second, because they're companion animals. I was like, man, like you potty train them like you do a dog. You gotta take them out. Like it's a month process of like training them to go to the bathroom. And my friend that owns cats was like, no, like show them their litter twice, they're good.
Yeah, no, it really is though. Show them the food,
weird.
show them their water, show them their litter. They're good for life.
No, I was like, that's it. And she goes, yeah. And like, here's the thing, you got her from the shelter. Bathe her once. She bathes herself. I was like, you were kidding. She goes, no. Like literally, make sure they have food and water.
Yep.
And like and play with them every once in a while, and you're good. I said,
that's funny.
That's awesome. Instantly a cat fan.
Henrique said cat food deck. That's gross.
I mean, Daniel Madison did do a cat deck.
Yeah, he did. He did. I'm going to tell you right now, that's one deck I won't support, though.
Steve's not a cat guy.
I hate cats.
Yeah.
But hey, it is what it is.
Right.
So tell me, what's the deal? You guys just dropped some clothes, right? What's the deal on the clothing line?
So actually just decided I'd wear one of the shirts today.
Yeah,
which that's dope.
Noticing that.
So we've been wanting to get into merch forever. And just because we think that the design that we do on the cards could be, cool on other things too. So like clothes, eventually we want to do socks, and we have hats. So when thinking of OPC and like wanting to make this a full-time thing, I was like, man, like what else could we do that's not cards to like expand our market, expand, who we have as an audience. And I had a dream that I opened up a brick and mortar store in New York City, and on the sign it said the organic market. And you walked in and there was just literally everything fruit related. There's hats, hoodies, book bags, shirts, socks, sunglasses. There was a smoothie bar. Like there was all sorts of stuff in there. And I was like, I woke up from that dream and I was like, this has got to happen. So we've started up a second brand called the Organic Market. So it's at @the_organic_market on Instagram. And we'll put it in the
description.
Link.
Yeah. We will continue to come out with clothes that like have our deck designs on them, but also can stray away from that a little bit. It can be something more fun of a creative time when designing clothes. Just instead of slapping like this one, we wanted to like kind of bridge, so we put the banana on the shirt. But for instance, with watermelons, like this isn't the watermelon; it's going to be on the watermelon shirt. It's a little
cool.
So we want to expand in that way, and kind of have that as like a sister brand.
Nice.
Very cool.
Now, are you gonna link the two? Are you gonna have like cards available on the marketplace? And will you do a collaboration with the two brands? Kind of like what's his name? What's that dude that does like collaborations with himself? Damn it. He's a designer, like super famous designer.
I'm not sure. I mean that's honestly a possibility. Like with this, I want it to be I want to use the clothes to potentially bring people into cards.
Nice.
And I want to have the cards bring people maybe into clothes. Like I want to cross promote the heck out of these two things.
Yeah.
So yeah, like cards should be available also on the organic market eventually when we get a website for it. This is going to be kind of a slower growing process. So like the clothes will be available on Organic Playing Cards website, but we're going to market it with the organic market.
Right.
And I hope that kind of grows into its own, and we kind of have both at the end of the day. So
right. Yeah. Yeah, actually that's what Severus says. It's Marc Jacobs. That's who it is.
Yeah.
It's like Marc Jacobs by Marc Jacobs. And then like all his brands, he just collaborates with himself.
Yep.
We actually do have another question, which I think is kind of relevant to a lot of the discussion we've had here. But Canadian wants to know what program you're in, like what you're studying.
Oh, so in college, I'm actually studying film. I'm in film school.
Right.
So, which is crazy weird because it's like only a small part of what I do for organic. So I am in a lot of film classes. I was a part of a short film project this semester. Luckily, we got done filming before all of the coronavirus stuff happened. But yeah, so I'm studying film, and the rest I've kind of just learned on my own. I also have done professional photography for 3 or 4 years now.
Nice.
And I think a lot of my experience with like running a business and a brand comes from my time in high school. So like I said earlier when we were talking about the smelly bags, I actually technically ran a cologne and perfume kiosk in 2 of them in Indianapolis. So one was on the south side of Indianapolis, one was on the north side. The owner lived in Israel. So he was only here a month out of the year, which was like Black Friday to the last day of December. And I started working there, and 2 months after I started working there as a sophomore in high school, everyone quit. Like the manager quit, the other 3 people that worked there because it's a box in the middle of the mall. And he flew to the States and was like, "Hey, you're like my last employee. Like, could you run these for me?" I was like, "Pay me more, sure." So I started really like managing my own business almost. I did all the orders. I did all of the branding, all of the marketing. I hired people. So I think that was just a super good opportunity to kind of learn that half of it too. So everything else is kind of trial.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely like it's so funny because even thinking back of like I'm a photographer now by trade, but it's funny just thinking back where like jobs that I've had throughout the past. Like I started at McDonald's and then I was a pizza delivery dude. It's so weird thinking back from when we were younger and how we got to where we are.
Yeah, like you can gain something from everything.
Yeah, like Tyler over here he went to law school.
And I don't practice law, so.
That what that tells me, Tyler? That you're intelligent.
Well, nowadays law school is not what it's all cracked up to be. So if anyone out there is thinking about going to law school, think twice.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I have a crazy cologne collection. So that's.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
What's your favorite cologne?
Probably, if you look up, it's called Creed Aventus.
All right.
You like the band Creed? I'm just
It's different. I get that all the time. Like the band, I'm like, no,
That's funny.
no, you silly Billy. It's not the band.
Creed. What is it called? Creed. What?
It's called Creed. So Creed is the brand, and then it's spelled Aventus, Aventus.
Oh, wow.
It smells real good.
We'll put that in the description too.
Yeah.
Cam's recommendation for cologne.
Yeah.
So I don't wear cologne. I wear body oil, and you worked for Essential Oil Company, right?
Well, so that's so the cologne and perfume kiosk, because there's a difference between alcohol-based and oil-based colognes. So
Right.
there are oil-based colognes, but there's not many, and
Right.
they last forever. The Creed Aventus that I just said is oil-based, so it's a
Nice.
lot more expensive, and it lasts literally forever, like your
Yeah.
oil would do.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff like Versace, Gucci, that's all alcohol-based, so it sits on your
Right.
skin and it evaporates off, and that's how
Yeah.
you smell. Which is why you're supposed to put it on like your neck and your wrists, because you have a lot of body heat, like a lot of vein heat from there.
Yeah.
So that's how it evaporates off. But again, it evaporates off pretty quick because it's just
Right.
out. The oil soaks into your skin; it lasts longer.
Yeah.
So you have to sharpen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm a big fan of the body oil. It's all about Egyptian musk.
nice.
Dude,
So
I haven't worn cologne since I was in high school, and it was like Michael Jordan cologne. So,
Oh God, no,
that tells you my
No.
level of cologne.
no.
Oh man.
and I love cologne. Cologne is I fell in love with cologne. I think before cards. So
Yeah, that's
I've
cool.
always-
I used
yeah.
to collect the little bottles of cologne, like the
Nice.
little, like cool, not the sample ones, but like the cool bottle samples.
oh yeah.
Where it's actually like got
Yeah.
the spritzer on it, like the super tiny ones with the spritz. Those guys.
Not even just with spritzes, like they're just tiny bottles
Alright.
of cologne,
Yeah.
of like the fancier ones, and they would come in different, like just whatever. They're just
Alright, nice.
collectible bottles, But let's see. Let's do one more question here, and then maybe we can get vibing on your giveaway.
Okay. We
Yeah,
actually.
dude.
So I actually have one question I do want to touch on. If you have one in mind, Steve, go for it, and then I'll pick up after that.
I don't know. Go for it, buddy. If you already have it, go
You
for
know,
it.
so this actually came from Ruth, and I thought it was a really good question because it kind of touches on the entrepreneurial side of OPC. But her question was, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years as it relates to OPC?
I have no idea.
I mean, I think you kind of touched on that, right? With the whole, marketplace and
Yeah.
Cardistry.
It's like in high school. It's like when you're like, where do you see yourself in 5 and 10 years? And then now I look back and I'm like, oh, I did that 5 years ago, and I'm nowhere near where I thought I was going to be. And I feel like OPC itself, I would love to be producing higher run of cards.
Nice.
So like as of right now, we're doing smaller runs to kind of keep up with everything, just because we don't have the funding and the market's really saturated to just come out with one deck and sell a bunch of them. Plus, there's different fruits and stuff. So like you don't just want to do one fruit and then wait 9 months and then do fruit. Like we want to kind of keep things fresh, unintended, for you guys.
Yeah.
So, coming out with just maybe larger print runs and being able to possibly continue on selling them, if that's what the market can bear. I want to be cross promoting with the organic market. I would love for this to be my full-time gig. This is like what I do.
Nice.
And
Right
that's
on.
where my goal is to be in 5 years. Is to kind of be able to feed, put food on the table, make a living from like this brand and Cardistry, because like I would love to just be a part of the community as a job. That would be
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, and if that's the goal, keep pushing towards it, man. I think you've already shown an amazing ability to build a brand and to really think of ways to get people, loyal to the brand, which is probably some of the toughest part out there. You can have a great product, but if you have no brand and no brand loyalty, you're never going to make it. At the same time, you have something that's people could pick up a bicycle deck if they really wanted to, and all they needed was cards. But people are out there and they want OPC cards because you've built this brand around it and you've built this community involvement, which is amazing.
Yeah. Like eventually, I think the thing I want to try to do is potentially start it would be crazy to see like organic playing cards in Target. Like something like that would be absolutely mind blowing. Because a lot of my friends that don't do cardistry that I give decks to, like my closer friends here at college, one of my friends was like, "Why don't you try to like sell these at Target?" And I'm like, "I don't even know where to start doing that."
Yeah.
She's like,
Dude, go to local co-ops first. Like co-ops, local spots like that would be all about it. Especially like snackers and stuff like that. Where they have the back like the bags where they can see it, or just start
yeah,
start with the local stuff like that, and then like Whole Foods or something like that.
yeah,
In I think that would be the best place to start, and then just reach out to corporate Target and see if it's something, that they would be up for. But I mean, I would start with like the local ones first, like co-ops and stuff like that, and just see how the sales are in there, because then that just gives you more, basically power when you do go to like Target and be like, well, we're in these places and we've sold this many decks,
And it
and
gives you the opportunity to
um,
kind of refine your pitch too, because I think that's one of the things, like Steve suggesting going to a co-op, you're going to have a lot more leeway in your sales pitch there. When you go to someone like
yeah,
Target, you probably have 2 minutes to talk to their purchasing manager, and if he doesn't immediately
yeah,
like what you're saying, it's another 6 months before you're talking to him again.
right.
right,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's one of the things I'm most excited for too, because I don't like after I graduate in May, because I'm graduating, I'm a senior. School at this point is something that I have to do, which is like sucks to say, but it's like it's something that I have to do, and then I can do OPC stuff and photography work and weddings and that kind of stuff. So like with my schedule opening up completely, like that's stuff that I'm going to be able to.
Yeah, it's tough when you're doing all that shit by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you feel? Oh, I think we.
Now
Oh,
we're
there we
good,
go.
yeah.
What do you feel about? Someone touched on it a minute ago about the saturation, like the market right now. I feel like there's more and more decks coming out from these people, and a lot, not a lot, but like some companies are limiting the amount of decks they make because whether they're hype brands and they just want to keep it exclusive and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's your take on? I guess it's kind of a couple questions, right? Like, what's your take on the saturation of the market right now? And I feel like it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
And what's your take on the exclusivity of brands that only print a certain amount to make it exclusive, and harder to get?
I think that the market, of course, like you said, is just going to become more and more saturated. People are making more and more of their own decks. There's a lot of ideas out there, which um, at the end of the day, like you do have the two, like people that print limited runs are usually either brands that do it because they want the hype and they want to sell out as fast as possible. And then you have people like us that like we just know that with all the decks out there, people if they buy our deck are going to be like, ooh, like I can maybe only get 3 because 5 other decks are coming out the next 2 months, and I need to also buy all of those. So
Right.
like, I think that we're gonna eventually start upping our runs. Hopefully, if we can keep growing and get bigger and make sure that we can sell, because at some point you have to move product. Like that's just a simple business etiquette. Able to you can't just have a website, be paying for a website to be up and like not selling product.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we can get into that flow of constantly having people come to us for cards. We're going to start printing more. I think
Right.
that if you have the demand, that you should print more. Um, I think it's cool to have an exclusive deck and a rare deck every once in a while, but I think that um, that people can definitely take advantage of exclusivity, and you know, it almost becomes a status symbol of like, oh, I have these, like Supreme, like I I own a Supreme side bag and it's fake and it's like $30.
Right.
Like, and I didn't buy it because it was Supreme. I just liked the size of it and how it looked. Like it
Right.
wasn't that it was Supreme. So like it's one of those things where I think it almost on like it becomes socially irresponsible to like if you sell out of cards like that to like not try a bigger run.
Yeah.
Right.
So that because like
It's ego, right?
yeah, well, because at that point, like it's almost not fun to try to get them. Like
Right. Yeah.
you have to make it like, oh, like I get that you need to incentivize people to be like, oh, hey, the new decks dropped, go get them. Like I get that, but to where people are having to like in 3 minutes buy them or they're gone, I feel like that's a lot.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a one thing that I always say, and I tag Riffle Shuffle all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't beat their pricing, especially for the first 48 hours. Their shit's $7.95.
Yeah.
Like it's. I mean, you can't beat it. The only brands that are doing that are, obviously Knocker's doing it, but for the most part, every once in a while he comes out with a stupidly priced deck. But for the most part, you have Knock, Theory 11, you got like Riffle Shuffle, and Illusionist. But Illusionist doesn't really come out with many decks. They still have all their original decks. But I think that's definitely says a lot about where you want to go in the direction of making cards.
Yeah, because I mean that's the thing too is I would rather like I know how much it costs to print decks. Like yes, I want to make this my living, but I also don't need to charge people $20 a deck. Like
Right.
I would rather you spend $20 and get, 2, maybe 3 decks ish for that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 Things-
I've always had the mentality of I'd rather sell 1,000 decks at $10 than sell 700 decks at $15 or $20 and then be stuck with 300 decks. Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
So a good question that actually just came in, and I think this kind of talks about the evolution too, especially with the brand being very cardistry based, is have you ever considered marking your deck or something along those lines to kind of reach out a little bit more to the Magic community?
Definitely. So I think one of the things so we market to the Magic community. Some like sponsors that get our cards, we try to send them also to magicians.
Okay.
DK magician or David Kohler. We usually try to send him a deck. We send decks to I can't even think like 4 or 5 people that do Magic. Potentially more. I can't remember, but I would really like to get Magic more into it. I know it can be hard sometimes, especially with our like the color choices that we use for pips. These are perfect because it's like the pink and black. Like for Magic, these are perfect. And also, I think we've kind of had the magician in mind since day one with the like small customizations of the core cards.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because they're still recognizable. Like family members play cards with these all the time.
Right.
So I think it's something I do want to do more in the future. I've actually talked with a couple people about kind of how we have Joe Feldposh now as like a cardistry content creator. Having somebody also on the team that's like an actual magician that does sleight of hand a lot and can kind of promote the deck and our brand in the Magic sphere as well.
Right. Right.
That's definitely something we're for sure looking into.
Yeah. I'm sure Daniel will be psyched. He'd probably do something for you guys.
Yeah. So we're looking around. I don't know if I want to say who I've talked to, but I've talked to some people about it. So
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
We
Nice.
potentially be adding somebody hopefully in July or August potentially. So
Nice.
Well, if I can plug anybody, I would like to plug Ruth Gakema. I think she's a huge fan. You don't have to respond to anything. Just she's a huge fan, and she's super into the community. And one thing that they used to do in the climbing community is it doesn't matter what grade you climbed at, what level you were climbing at. If you were super strong, it was all about how you engaged with the community and how involved you were and how much you just loved the hobby / sport, and I think bring those people on, especially when they're not even that good. Not saying obviously Ruth is good, but people that are just learning, if they know that they're sort of quote unquote sponsored in some way, it kind of gives them more incentive, and it shows that you don't have to be this whoever,
Right.
Nate or Shauno or someone like that to be getting free decks or big discounts on decks. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. No, I definitely, I will take that into consideration. She's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, there's a ton of people. I'm
Dude, it's hard choosing. That's my problem. So hard.
I can't even imagine, bro.
No.
Yeah, I'm just a big fan for throwing out those the names of the women in the community, because it's so overrun by men.
I know.
So I'm a huge advocate for the women in the community. There's some bomb women that are into magic. In Cardistry, you have Caitlin. You have Koa. You have Steph Magic. You have Kate.
Yep.
Obviously Ruth and Maggie. There's just so many people. So many young girls and older girls that are just crushing it.
I know. Yeah, it's with every deck, starting especially with this one, what I try to do is I'm trying to kind of do what your climbing group did. I want to try to put give like 3 or 4 people that again, they don't have to have the biggest following, but if I like their videos and I like what they make, that I still try to get them on the list. And I think now that our budget has grown, so there is growth. So really, I think since Squeezers V2, we've kind of been slowly growing like an advertising / sponsor budget for each deck that we do. And I think we're at the point now where I have some extra decks that I can afford to throw around in different places.
Yeah, for sure. And I know a lot of people. I would think most people don't realize that when you have a company and you have a lot of friends and you're creating decks, yes, you might pay $3 for this deck, but when 35 people want a deck and they're your close friends, and you start giving a deck here, giving a deck there, sooner or later you're giving out 50 decks, and that
adds up.
That's money. It definitely adds up, and you have to do stuff for reviews. There's so much that's involved.
There's a lot of cost. There's a lot of costs that people don't know about. The half brick boxes don't just come out of nowhere. You know what I mean? The half brick boxes, the stickers, the shipping to the sponsors. Some people we pay. For instance, we have other we pay our designer a fee. Kevin actually has 2 other people that help with stuff, so customer service and that kind of stuff. So there are other little costs that kind of get rolled in, and not a lot of people.
Dude, there's a ton of stuff. There's website, there's email addresses, there's all that stuff adds up, and hosting. It's just there's so much stuff that adds up that people don't even understand about,
And as you get bigger, there's more and more costs to cover. So it's interesting. It's an interesting conundrum, but it's very true. But the fact that you do realize that, you do set aside that budget for it, it speaks volumes to your community involvement. So I think there's a lot of people out there who probably see it purely as a business investment, whereas you can tell just by the way you talk about it that you're really looking to give back to the community.
Yeah. Speaking of giving back, let's give away a frickin' half brick, yo.
Let's do it.
All right, so we were kind of mulling over this, and what did you come up with? How did you want to give this away?
So we talked about it, and I've never done like a live stream giveaway. So all the time, people like usually kind of cycle through like the same like 5 to 10 like funny like fruit puns or like organic puns or jokes. So light up the chat, and we're gonna try to find the best in our opinion, the best fruit or like fruit joke or fruit pun. So
Yeah.
let the games begin.
Let's do it. We have this like lag too, so it's like while we're waiting, we're like,
like it's gonna be like a rocket.
I'm excited for this.
yeah, yeah.
As we're sitting here too, I got a DM that came through that said, "Tyler, your beard is getting out of control." So I guess I have to shave after this.
You're like, there goes my evening.
Yeah, it happens. Like it's fine.
Dude, I need a haircut real bad. Like I didn't go get a haircut before all this quarantine stuff started. It's shaggy. Like it's
Same
bad.
here.
It's real bad.
I've been tempted to just like buzz it down. It's been the whole like you take for granted just going to get a haircut.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, we got our first one. Squeeze the day. I guess take on seize the day.
Yeah.
You'd go nuts with a coconut deck.
Was that?
Here's one. I find you very appealing.
Thank you for that, Justin.
You're one in a melon.
One in a melon. That's on our shirt.
Why did the banana go to the doctor?
Here's an adult one for you. What do you call two grapes in a vine? A penis.
Oh no.
Why did the banana go to the doctor? It wasn't peeling well.
Oh my god. We also got a basically what I guess that's maybe an alternative slogan. OPC, the other fruit you wear next to your fruit.
Oh no.
We opened this up to some straight up mayhem here.
No.
One. It takes two to mango.
It does take.
Oh my god.
Yeah. What kind of fruit goes on a calendar?
I don't know.
Dates. Sounds good.
That's good. That's a funny one. That's real good.
That is a good one. I love you to my toes. Tomatoes. Get it? Tomatoes.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, I feel like this one's almost a pickup line here. If you were a fruit, you'd be a fine apple.
Apple.
That's a good one.
Oh no.
Why did the orange stop? Because it ran out of juice.
Where's the answer to that? Let's see, here we go. She wants me to keep going, but I'm out of juice. Yeah.
Oh no.
No fig deal. You got this.
No
fig.
Yeah, I'm hearing some new ones. Like some people are like getting real creative, which is good because I usually hear like the same like 5 or 6.
This one's awesome. John Trent said, "What did the gardener do when he saw his fruit? He wet his plant."
Okay, that's pretty good. I think that one and the dates one are on the top 2 for me.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah. Cam, this one's pretty good too. Cam is very convincing with his peer pressure.
Oh man.
Or we would make a perfect pair.
Uh
That was grow a pair. Get it?
The vampire only has one type of fruit on his list of meals to eat each day: the nectarine.
Nice.
That's good, dude. Dang. Okay, people are bringing out the fire. This is a half trick, folks.
Sorry, I'm bad at pickup lines.
Oh.
Oh, what's this one? Oh.
This is
why is the apple so lonely?
Why?
Because the banana split.
That's good. That's a classic there.
Let's see what else we got here. How do you make an apple turnover? You push it down a hill.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's kind of dark.
Oh my God, Justin's got to be reading them off a website. What happens to grapes? What happens to grapes when you step on them?
What?
They whine. That's a good one.
It's either the wet my plants or the dates for me. Those two are
I'm not gonna lie.
I agree.
I'm wet my plants 100%.
He said I'm wet my plants 100p.
Dude, no doubt. That one killed me there.
I think that's how are you feeling, Steve? I think wet my plants.
I agree, man. I agree. I'm down with that one. Wet my plants. Who said that again?
All right, I'm scrolling up now to see if I can find the wet my plants. So,
all right.
Should I write that on their half brick?
Yes, you should write it on there.
You wet my plants.
Yeah, you wet my plants.
Man, I'm gonna tell you this. Like, there's a lot of stuff in this chat right now.
This is so much fun. I'm so glad you guys had me on. This is a blast.
Oh, dude, it was such an honor to have you on. It was great. I knew it was going to be a good episode when the other day we talked for an hour and 15 minutes.
Oh, I know. I was like, no, really, I gotta go. It was at midnight. I was like, well, wait, one more story, and then I gotta go.
I know, right? All right, let me see. I can't find it here. Wet my plants.
Oh, there we go. John Tran. What did the gardener do when he saw his fruit? He wet his plants. John Tran,
all right.
Congratulations, you won yourself a signed half brick of Carver's, because that was hilarious.
How do you spell his name?
John John
Let's find out.
Tran.
Wait. Well, before that might not be his real name. So hold on.
Good call.
Hey, John Tran, you on here still?
Better hope so.
He better hope so, because if not, we're gonna go with the other one.
I see him.
John
I see him
Tran.
on still.
Okay, there he is. All right, John Tran. That's his name. Congratulations, John. You crushed it. That was a good one, man.
How do you spell his last name?
T-R-A.
Yep.
T-I-T-R-A-N.
No. T-R-A-N.
Wait, well, dude, John Tran, if you can DM me over at Organic Playing Cards, I'll get this out to you, my friend.
Yes. Oh, Jonathan's here from Meadowlarks, and he wasn't allowed to tell his joke, guys. So Jonathan has by far the bomb jokes, and I'm obviously going to talk him up right now, and he's probably not going to say a good one. But Jonathan, let's hear it. His wife probably won't allow him to say it, but say it anyway, Jonathan.
We won't tell anyone.
We won't tell. We have.
What happens on the live stays on the live.
Exactly.
Oh man.
Come on, the kids are there. That's okay. You close their ears for a second.
The kids are here.
All you have to do is type it out, Jonathan. So I did a giveaway and it had to do with a joke. I don't even remember the joke anymore, but it was the funniest thing. They had to make my girlfriend Leslie laugh, and oh my God, we were dying for days.
Jonathan, we're glad you stopped in to say hi. I feel like we put him on the spot with the joke.
I know.
Well, Jonathan, send me the joke, and then you can turn it off, and I'll read it. Send me the joke on Insta.
To wet my plants, aka John Tran. That is awesome, John. You definitely won a one-of-a-kind brick box there. Congratulations, man.
Nice.
That's I'm sorry, John. That's just how I'm going to remember your name from now on. I was like, this guy. Like, you're the greatest thing. I cannot wait.
Oh my God.
If I ever meet you in person, that's going to be like a day.
Oh, totally. Yes, Robert, that was definitely the Gold Addison one. Yeah, well, he hasn't sent it. If he does, I'll say it before we get off, but I don't know if he's going to. He might be typing it, but
hi,
he's a funny dude.
Hi, Magi. If you actually Control F to search, you should be able to find it.
Oh, cool! I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, that's how I found it before.
Command F, wet my plants.
And don't worry, we didn't ignore anything. There were just so many, man. It was hard to keep up there. Sorry we didn't get to see your comment, but guys, this was a blast. We really had a fun time, and thank you so much, Cam, for really, hooking this up and in being willing to give away this half brick to everyone who came here, and really that was a fun time. So I hope everyone enjoyed a lot of these. The chat is blowing up right now with congrats, wet plants. John, I feel like we may have just ruined your life a little here, so I'm sorry.
Oh my God, Wolfie just came up with it. Wolfie said, John transplant.
Oh, no.
My God, that was so good.
Oh man, that really was so good. Thank you so much, guys. So the one thing I do want to just shout out real quick, because we're kind of switching things up. You may have noticed this week we didn't do guess the guest. We want to really try and give enough time for everyone to get amped for who's going to be there. So just to let you all know, next week we're actually going to have Jonathan from Meadowlark Cards on. We're super excited for that. If you haven't seen his deck yet, he's actually live on Kickstarter right now, so I definitely recommend you guys go check that out. He actually also just dropped an awesome render for his new half brick box and their deluxe deck, so make sure to check it out and start thinking of those questions for next week.
Yes, you gotta check it out. Go to Kickstarter, check it out, and back it if you can. It's a super hot deck. Okay. And Cam, you rock, dude. Thank you so much for doing what you do. We always definitely support you, and if we can help out in any way, whether it's Deckin Around, woundedquanta.com, definitely keep us in mind.
For sure, yeah, dude. I'm so glad that you guys are in the organic family. So
we love it, man. We've had a blast with you so far, and have no doubt we will be keeping in touch. We may have to just have a weekly non-live chit chat between us on Skype.
I'd be down.
Absolutely.
Yes, man. Let's do it. All right, buddy.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Guys, everybody, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell so you get notifications for future episodes. And we can't wait to see you all next week. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, everybody.
You won't click.
Have a nice one, guys.
Peace, y'all.